Good evening. This is the Family Focus Program, and we're presenting today Maryville Cares. I am Sister Catherine Ryan from Maryville Academy. This evening, our guest is Dr. Ann Craig, who is from our Maryville Gen School. We are watching Maryville Cares, a live interactive show on CAN TV 21. I'll make sure that's real clear, CAN TV 21. And we are also streaming online on cantv.org/hotline. So the next 25 minutes is an opportunity for you and us to talk about what we used to call vocational education. I think it's going to be exciting for parents and for grandparents, family members who are helping our young people succeed in society. If you would like to call in, you can call the number at the bottom of your screen, 312-738-1060. I must remind you that this is not a program that provides any legal advice or medical advice, but we certainly are going to have an exciting evening with Dr. Ann Craig. So, Ann, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
It's great to have you. Let's begin by the term vocational education. I know I'm dating myself by using the term, so tell our families and tell me, what do we call this today?
Today we're calling it career technical education. A lot of times the vocational education programs that we've known in the past is now known as career technical education, and we're starting those programming now much younger, and usually in the 8th grade and into our high school and into young adults.
Really?
Yes.
And I come through periods of time when this was in vogue, and then there were times when people said, oh no, that's kind of an inferior education, everyone should go to college. We're not thinking that way today, are we?
No, and you're correct. It was before everyone was on the college track, and that was all we were thinking about. And now we've taken a look at education again, and we've changed that mindset, and we're really looking at pathways to education in a different track where students are looking and taking career interest inventories and looking to find their passions in education as well, and looking to decide what is their best track in education. Not everyone is thinking that they need to go to college, but they're looking to decide what is their passion. Is it going into the medical field? Is it going into the manufacturing field? Or where they should most decide what they want to do.
And so you mentioned an interest inventory. What is that like?
There are several different types of interest inventories. We use career cruising for our students, where they log into a program, computer program, and they answer a series of questions, and then they take a career cluster and they decide what is best for them. And based on those answers, they get an interest inventory profile that is suited to them, and that career interest inventory prints out for them, and then they are directed into several different types of careers that, based on their answers, that are best suited for them.
So let me just check in with our families, and for me, I'm not a person who likes to take tests. Is this a test with right answers and wrong answers?
There are no wrong answers. It's just what do you like to do, what's best suited for you.
So would you prefer to do this or do that?
Exactly.
You like to do this more or that?
Exactly.
And so it's an opportunity for our young people to think about where they really have their interests, as you said, to find their passions.
Exactly. That's exactly what this career cruising does, and there's several different types of interest inventories for them to do. And it's kind of a fun way to sit down at the computer and answer a series of questions and get students thinking about what they would like to do.
Okay, so now this is for career and technical education,
Yes.
as you were saying, okay? And so what kinds of students are best suited, or maybe another way I can say this is, which students find that this is the way they want to go?
Really, any student, and as I said before, we start talking about careers and vocational training for students in the 8th grade, and start exposing them to a variety of classes early on, and any student is appropriate for career and technical education. It's not just students that are looking to not go to college, it's all students.
So I want to go into some of the different kinds of opportunities there are here, but first I want to share a Forbes article that I found, Forbes magazine, and this is from 2015. I know you've got more recent statistics, but in Forbes, this issue of Forbes, and the article is called "Why We Desperately Need to Bring Back Vocational Training in Schools." The author says, the U.S. economy has changed. The manufacturing sector is growing and modernizing, creating a wealth of challenging, well-paying, highly skilled jobs for those with the skills to do them. And the demise of vocational education in the high school level, now we're talking about the past, says the author, has bred a skills shortage in manufacturing today. Do you find that to be true?
Absolutely. There are a tremendous shortage of jobs in the manufacturing field.
Jobs or persons to take the jobs?
Persons to take the jobs. In the manufacturing fields, carpentry, HVAC, and all of those types of jobs, as well as in education, in nursing, in emergency medical technologies, in law enforcement, in Google, Apple, Costco, all of those fields, UPS, truck driving, all of those fields, there's a tremendous shortage of jobs and
Workers.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. I know what you mean here, so I want to make sure our
Thank
families
you.
know.
Especially in the manufacturing and carpentry and those industries, there's a tremendous shortage, and those workers in those fields in the southern part of the U.S. due to the recent storms, and they're projecting an 11% shortage over the next 2 years as well.
Of persons who can serve these trades.
Exactly.
They're going to all be going to where the terrible tragedies have been and helping rebuild.
Exactly.
And
As it gets colder here in the U.S. and the northern part of the U.S., those jobs people are going to be, the current people we have in those positions are going to be moving to the southern part of the states. They're being lured down to the southern part, higher pay and warmer part.
Yeah, and repairing, of course. So are young people taking these kinds of courses today in school?
Yes, and what is happening is that we are planning better for our students. We're starting to recognize that we need to create better programs for our students. And we also have realized that we're giving dual credit for our students. That means students who are taking these courses at junior and senior level, we're giving them credit, college credit as well. So
Oh,
if
really?
they are going on to college, they already have got credits ready to go with them for college or technical school or trade school.
And can that be done almost anywhere in Illinois?
Yes. Most of the career technical classes that they're taking in their high schools will transfer to most community college or most colleges.
Okay. And what about the Chicago Public Schools? Are they involved in this?
Yes, they are. Chicago Public Schools has got, their high schools have many, many career technical education programs, and it's required by the state of Illinois to provide these classes. And if you go on the Chicago Public Schools website, they have a great website that outlines many of these courses at the various high schools.
Oh, that's great. So the parents, families can be taking a look, young people in school can be taking a look and seeing some of these opportunities for their, for their schools.
Absolutely. And there's a great graphic on the Chicago Public Web Schools. If you look up CTE on their website, it has a wonderful graphic that shows each of the high schools and what each of the high schools offers in each of the career technical education programs. It's a wonderful graphic.
So are the students taking these kinds of trade courses instead of the traditional academic classes like math and science and language?
No, actually these courses are enhancing the traditional academic course load. It's not taking away from, it's enhancing, and students still need to participate in the core curriculum of academics, science, English, social studies, those kinds of things. It's enhancing what is required for graduation.
So for example, I know that you have a carpentry program at the Gen School where you're the principal.
Yes.
And when our young people are in that course, they love using their hands for the carpentry work. And I'd like you to say a little more about it. But first, to this point, I've noticed that whether they're not necessarily cognizant of it, but they're learning math.
Yes.
Because they must measure, right, for carpentry?
Yes.
And so they're learning the math and having a great time. It's what we used to refer to as applied math. That is, instead of, if someone has a stereotype of someone sitting in a classroom just seeing numbers and adding numbers or multiplying numbers, instead our students are in a project and they're having to learn and determine what the sizes are.
Absolutely.
Or other ways. So you speak, please, about this much better than I.
A lot of times, as an educator, when I was a teacher, I heard a lot of times, why do I have to know this? This is why you have to know this. In algebra, you're using these skills on the job. So when you're in a classroom using, or on a job site, and in the career technical education program, students are getting out on job sites using these skills when they're in these programs. So with the carpentry program we have at Gen School, the students built a second garden shed, a 12 by 18 foot shed with a shop teacher, and they're out there using the carpentry tools and those kinds of things. And what they were doing is they were using all of the academics that they learned in the classroom on the job site as well. The math skills, the reading skills, the team building skills, those kinds of things. So it's taking the academics that they learned in the classroom and applying them in the actual job sites and figuring out, like you said, the measuring and those kinds of things in practical hands-on situations. And they're also learning that when they're up on the roof and it's 100 degrees in the roofing, true what it's like to be a carpenter in real life situations.
So, and you just mentioned about this work that they're doing. It's part of their courses, and it's a hands-on experience. Do they get high school diplomas then?
Yes.
So in answer to an earlier question that I put, because some parents may be concerned about this, if young people go for career and technical education, they're going to get their diploma.
They're required to have their diploma for many of the apprenticeship programs. It's not in place of or instead of. The high school diploma is still very important and is required for many apprenticeship programs.
And we want to talk about some of those programs or other examples that you have in a couple minutes, but you mentioned also another skill, which isn't an academic course. You talked about team building.
Yes.
So our young people who are in career and technical education are also learning other skills than the academic courses.
Yes.
Could you speak about that?
The number one reason why a student or anybody doesn't maintain a job is those social skills and team building skills. And those are almost as important as the academic skills. And it's important for students to learn those skills as well. So we teach those skills and we work on those skills as well. And it's important that students in the career technical education programs learn those skills as they're working through the programs. And one of the statistics that the career technical education programs that I'm reading from one of the technical programs that I research is that 93% of the career technical education students graduated higher at a national average than 82% of the students. And that's because they participated in these programs and they worked with peers in developing these skills with their team building and their academics and their job skills. So it's a combination of all of those things that kept the students in school and worked on the graduation.
So I presume another skill that they need to learn is to show up for a job?
Yes.
Show up every day?
Yeah.
Show up on time?
Yes.
And stay till the end?
Those are the biggest things that employers are looking for. And one of the programs I visited last week, as I'm researching these programs, they have a job board with their apprenticeship programs that they're working with, looking for apprentices. And the job board requirements, reliable employees, will be on time, those kinds of things, all of those things.
And maybe one more skill that we'll want to highlight here, critical thinking.
Absolutely.
Necessary for these programs?
Absolutely.
And why?
Being able to problem solve on the job and being able to work with somebody to problem solve is all of those critical thinking skills. So when you're taking these courses, those are all things that you put together in a package. And it's working with students and being able to teach them those skills.
So you might say the career and technical education addresses the whole person.
Yes, a holistic approach.
To doing this. We're going to come to some examples in just a moment. I just want to remind our viewers that we're watching Maryville Cares. We're on CAN TV 21 and also on cantv.org/hotline. In this evening's discussion, we're talking about career and technical education, formerly referred to as vocational education, but with a whole new environment, I think, from what you're describing for us here.
Yes.
So you've talked about some different kinds of areas in which young people can find career opportunities if they develop the skills, and one of them related to agriculture and drones.
Yes.
Would you like to tell us about that?
One of the things, you don't think of technology in agriculture so much, but I know just recently in speaking with some of our students and some of our doing some research, technology is huge for our students, and drone technology is huge as well right now. So when you think of teaching our students technology and getting their interest in teaching them those kinds of things, drone technology, teaching them how to combine those two things, using drone technology and getting them out there to go out and check the fields. Do they need to go out and spray for pesticides, those kinds of things? Do they need to have the drone fly over the field to check for damage, flood damage or wind damage or those kinds of things? And so instead of having to pay for a pilot to go out and fly over the field, they can use a drone instead. So that saves the farmer money, also the risk of sending a pilot to fly low over the field, but also then it gives a student a job. So those kinds of things.
So now in the stores, our young people or our adults can buy these drones and play with them in the yard, trying out the drones, having them land and go up. And what you're saying is that recreational experience can actually be developed into a skill for a necessary job in agriculture.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Agriculture and as well as law enforcement. That kind of technology and those kinds of skills can then turn over to vocational jobs, career jobs.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now let's take another area. What would be another example of career and technical education that young people are moving into, and there are lots of jobs?
The career, it's endless. You have the traditional manufacturing, construction, carpentry, HVAC, those kinds of things, and students tend to think of going into those kinds of construction, road construction, those kinds of things. You have the hospitality, you have going into restaurants, but there's also thinking about healthcare.
Okay.
You can talk about nursing assistants. There's also EMTs. There's
Emergency medical
technicians. There's a huge, there's a tremendous shortage of emergency medical technicians. On all of those fields, there's the potential for growth is also there. You start out as an emergency medical technician to move up. Start out as a HVAC or construction. You start out as a laborer, you can move up to project manager. and eventually move up. And in all of those areas, people can move up into project manager and those kinds of things. I don't think our students necessarily think of those potentials as well. I'll take education, I'll take dedication to their careers.
So what we know is, from what you've just told us, is that some of these courses can be taken in high school.
Yeah.
And then most of the community colleges in Chicago and in the suburban areas are also providing courses in these areas, aren't they?
Yes. And most of the companies, were, if you get hired on as an apprentice, most of the companies will reimburse tuition for you to go to school,
Really?
especially in the construction trades.
So parents, tell our parents and how they're going to be able to do that.
So if a young person gets hired on as an apprentice, what happens is a lot of times what will happen, they will work for the company and then the company will pay you to go to school to continue your education to become a journeyman and then continue on and within that company to continue your certifications within whatever that trade is.
So, Ann, you're going to put some of those resources up on our website for
Yes.
Maryville, aren't you? So let me for a moment just show our viewers. If you check this website after tomorrow, Ann will have put up on the website, that's www.maryvilleacademy.org. Ann will have put up on the website some resources about vocational education, now known as career and technical education.
Right.
Is that right? So one more, leave it on for just one more short period of time here, www.maryvilleacademy.org. And you can look for these particular resources. And in the short time we have left, how about a success story? About a young person who's gone into some of this study and obtained a job.
We've had several success stories out of our school. We've had students who have graduated from our school, Gen School, and have gone into the construction trades, who have gone into, have worked with a road construction company. We have 2 students who have worked with them and are working, being paid to go to school with this road construction company to continue their education at a local community college. We have students who are working with road truck driving. We've gotten scholarships from Maryville Academy to continue getting their CDL licenses and doing tow.
That'd be their commercial licenses, right?
Their commercial license. We have a student who is working with a family tow truck company. We have students who are working with a real estate company. And we have students who have graduated from Elmhurst College and is going on to business school. So we've had several successes of students who have gone through our vocational programming and career technical program. We're a very small program as far as our career programming. We're very, very proud of it and very proud of our students.
And we are too. And I think what you're telling our families is that there are multiple opportunities here, and the courses can be obtained in the public high schools and the public community colleges, as well as at some of the private schools, which are offering these courses. And parents, the children, your children, can get jobs. And since we're talking about teenagers, young people who would be the ones studying this, if these careers are of interest to you, education is affordable, and there are jobs that are available. So we want you to think about those as possibilities. And I want to thank you for being with us this evening. I'm Sister Catherine Ryan from Maryville Academy. Our guest has been Dr. Ann Craig from our Maryville Gen School. If you need any more information, you can contact us at Maryville, and we are very grateful to CAN TV for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you.